Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And with this one, we are going to be covering, is this the new best class for Dragonflight in this round of class updates? And it seems like every week, if not every day, there is a new update to the talent trees for the classes, new abilities, returning abilities to check out. And if you want to make sure that you're never missing a beat when it comes to everything Dragonflight, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. I am doing my best to be an excellent resource for you to enhance your gameplay and experience. I've had testimonials from many players in my streams that watching my videos have improved their experience in the game. I am also working towards my long-term goal of 100,000 subscribers and would greatly appreciate your support along that journey. So in today's video and this class update, we're going to be covering the balance druid. I know a lot of you have been very curious of my opinion of it so far moving forward, and I've been reluctant to give like a full-on assessment of it, but there has been a pretty big update here, as you can see it on the screen towards it, as well as new spells for Paladin. We're going to be covering Frost Death Knight and Shadow Priest, and maybe some of the problems that are with it, because I've seen a lot of people getting upset about Priest recently, so maybe we should talk about it here in today's video. But the first most exciting change, or maybe the Paladin new spells are close second here, is that we are going to be seeing new spells for the Balance Druid and a speculated return of wild mushrooms. And this was a recommendation that I made in a feedback video towards Moonkin maybe a month, maybe 2 months ago, of bringing back some iteration of wild mushroom as an old spell, because we've seen some other classes getting iterations of like Wrath of Lich King spells into their talent trees. And this was one of them that I brought up that was very fun. In the past, you used to be able to put a mushroom on the ground, explode it, it would put a snare, it would do a lot of damage. It was really fun to use in Solar Eclipse, and they're bringing back that older Eclipse style where it's kind of like arcane damage is increased and nature damage is increased, so increasing the value of your Solar Eclipse by bringing back this ability. So let's go back into the specifics of it. One of my main concerns for it was that it was going to be a lot of keybinds. You needed a keybind to put the mushroom down, and you needed a keybind to explode it. So now you're no longer going to need a keybind to explode it. It's going to detonate on its own. It's going to have 3 charges. It's automatically at the target's location, and it detonates after 2 seconds. And it can give you up to 20 astral power depending on how many targets are hit. So this could be really powerful in AoE situations, generating you a tremendous amount of astral power to get even more starfalls or star surges out into the battlefield. My initial concerns with this, at least when it comes to PvP, is that if it's casted at the target's location, can the target be cycloned? And then I time some mushrooms to explode right as the cyclone is ending, because that was a really fun interaction in PvP, but which you could do because it was targeted on the ground. Now it's going towards the player. Usually when players are cycloned, they're immune to spells and they go into the ether and you can't use them. So if that interaction isn't available, I will be really disappointed. That was like the main fun way of landing these mushrooms, was just timing them out of end of a cyclone and watching the fireworks. And the other one was the snare on the ground, not just the damage, but being able to get like a snare and be able to create like a little snare area to move enemies through. And it seems like they are going to be carrying that forward with the fungal growth. In addition, the old Balance Druid talent that modified wild mushrooms has been updated, and while it will still slow targets that have been hit by wild mushroom, it also causes the mushrooms to deal more damage through a dot, so giving them more sustained damage as well through damage over time effects, which will be really fun with the dot build. I've loved playing the Necrolord Boomy in Shadowlands. I really hope that the game is tuned in a way that that build is actually viable, and I'm not stuck just building up 100 Star Surges and trying to burst somebody down before the healer gets out of a Solar Beam, because I've been doing that for like 5 expansions, it feels like now. I really want to be dotting classes, keeping them snared, star falling, calling in starbursts. I really want that to be a viable option. This has potential to enable that, where now grow a magical mushroom at the enemy's target's location. After 2 seconds, it will detonate, generate astral power based on how many targets hit, and apply a mushroom for an additional 70% of the damage over 8 seconds. But it doesn't seem, is it going to not slow anymore? It will still slow targets, but it doesn't say it down here. So how much is the snare? We got a couple of questions to answer here, but Boomkin's getting a lot of attention and updates, which I'm very excited to check out, because my initial response was like, this is acceptable, but then I saw other classes and was like, no, this isn't acceptable anymore. I really want more for this class. I'm kind of leaning on the fence that I would almost prefer them just delay Dragonflight, just come out and say, hey, we are going to delay Dragonflight to make sure that it is the best it can possibly be, so that every class gets like this level of attention and depth, similar to how mages, when the response to it was so overwhelmingly negative, got a massive turnaround and swing in their favor, because we've got Wrath Lich King coming out that can carry the time for now, even just releasing the pre-patch and still working on Dragonflight. I would really much rather prefer it be delayed at this point. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. This is the most recent update. As soon as this is available to play on beta, I am jumping on this really quickly because I'm sure it's going to be explosive. Now for Paladin is getting some new spells as well, which I wasn't expecting because when I'd been playing I played a Rep Paladin just yesterday on my stream, and I was thinking this kind of just feels like Shadowlands, a mix of maybe some Battle for Azeroth and Legion mechanics, but for the most part, not really anything too new. There's the Consecrate build from Wrath Lich King, likely not going to be usable in PvP. So improved Holy Shield for prop, just improving your spell block, improved Lay on Hands, just reducing the cooldown of Lay on Hands, and now Inspiring Vanguard is a passive that's going to grant chances increased by 20% and grants you 2% strength. The big one for me was Reckoning, because this leads into a lot of other questions. First of all, this is a PvP talent, and that PvP talent was very powerful for Rep Paladins. It was after 50 critical strikes, you activated Avenging Wrath. Losing that honor talent will be really devastating to Rep Paladins in PvP. This has been like the main point of burst damage for them for a long time. But it also, in the tooltip, reads, hurl a magical hammer strike at the enemy. So it's another damaging attack. Honestly, when I was playing my Ret, I did not feel like I needed another keybind that was a damaging attack. But when your allies with your greater blessings take damage, the damage of your next Hammer of Reckoning increases. So blessings are coming back? Blessing of Might, Wisdom, Kings, like what kind of blessings are we talking about here? Because blessings, they've gone in and out of the game for a few expansions now. Are they actually going to be coming back in? This is a big hit there in terms of damage potential for Ret and PvP. And it's another damaging attack that you're going to have to keybind, so it's a lot of bloat, so I'm not sure if I'm a really big fan of it. I do like the idea of blessings. I think having unique buffs as a Paladin was always cool. I've been enjoying the buffs on Wrath of the Lich King when I've been playing my Paladin, so I think that's cool, but I'm not sure about this Reckoning idea that they're trying to do. What do you guys think? Is it going to be problematic? Are you upset? Do you think it's going to be too weak now in PvP? We've seen a lot of posts now as we're moving into the priest ones where they've talked about something that they don't want to do because it's going to be a negative impact in PvP, and we've seen the response to that from the community, and I feel like it's vice versa a lot of the times, right? There's like, now there's this, like, hey, this is going to be kind of bad for Rets in PvP, but they think it's going to be good for PvE, I think. I still think that there's too many damaging attacks for Ret. This is going to cause too much bloat, but I like the idea of greater blessings. And then moving into the Shadow Priest, so Surrender to Madness was removed, and so a lot of players were either really happy about that or really upset about it, depending on if they had built their playstyle around it and been able to execute on it. And then a lot of their talents have been moving around, and they're really trying to shake the ground with Shadow Priest, trying to create a non-void form Shadow Priest, like staying committed to that, which is a big project, a big undertaking, and that's why I feel like delaying and taking more time to make sure that this is all executed as well as possible would really be the move, because you can see, like right here, just pretty much every single talent that Shadow Priests have been rearranged, just completely rearranged again. And that's why I say week after week. That's why you want to stay up to date with the updates. I feel like Shadow Priest got a nice quality of life change and buff to their class towards the bottom of this post when I'm able to get down to it. It was one of their talents to proc instant Mind Blast. It was changed from Vampiric Touch ticks to Shadow Word Pain ticks, which I think is going to be a lot better. But what is it exactly with Shadow Priest in PvE that has caused players so much disgruntlement? Because I've played it on and off, but never really been a hard committed Shadow Priest player. So I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it in the comments down below. Like, what is it exactly? What type of feedback do they need in order to make Shadow Priest a thing? Like, I'm imagining the PvP people are probably going, we just get trained down, we can't cast, and we die. I'm gonna predict that that's probably your comment. In PvE, is it not being able to ramp up enough damage? We can see removed Surrender to Madness, big change, Shadowy Insight. Now Shadow Word Pain will grant instant Mind Blast. I was excited for that for PvP specifically. But like, what is it exactly about this that is necessary for it to succeed in the game at the moment? Because that's what I really think we need to hit the nail on the head for Shadow Priest moving forward, because I think it's unclear, and I just don't know how this is going to work, trying to create a non-void form and a void form. It's like trying to create one-handed fury and two-handed fury. Just one of them is going to do more damage, and whichever one that is what everyone's going to play. So I don't know how they can achieve this, honestly. Like, this seems like a fleeting attempt Mind you, you could have one of the builds be really good in PvP, one of them in PvE, or having one of them really good in single target, one of them in AoE, so then they're both used in those given situations. But if they're just competing head to head in all scenarios, one of them's going to do more damage, right? And that's going to be the one that everybody sees in the logs and wants to move over to, regardless of like, oh, that one's cool or not. It's kind of similar to me with Balance Druid. I like the Necrolord Balance Druid and play in Shadowlands, but it's situationally really tough to fit at the highest level competitive play. You're kind of forced into the other mode of playing just based on what is necessary for success in the game. So this battle against the meta, is it possible to achieve victory? Let me know in the comments down below. Frost Death Knight, I've really liked what they've been doing with Death Knight overall as a class. I've played against it a few times. It feels really strong, feels exactly like how a Death Knight's supposed to feel like. You have more threats than just the Abominations limb now with the Gargoyle as Unholy. Frost is getting a lot of attention, rearrangements of all of their talents, a bunch of new talents as well to try and enhance your experience as Frost Death Knight. The biggest one for me is that hitting the fantasy between Frost being a really bursty version of Death Knight, just blasting out big Howling Blast, big Obliterate crits, and Unholy being kind of this slowly building up momentum class that just overwhelms you once it's reached its maximum capacity of ghouls and dots and pressure and stuff like that. Those are like the two, that's like the line that needs to be drawn for a distinct play between the two, because there's a lot of overlap in abilities. Blinding Sleet can be taken as Unholy, so the identity of being like that blinding sleet sort of Frost Death Knight is going to be lost, with Unholy also getting it and likely always playing it. So there needs to be a clear distinct difference, and that's what I really want to see hit now, with Unholy and Frost, given all the attention they've been getting and the rearrangement of their talents, and just make it really clear. Other than that, I hope that you enjoyed the video, this most recent round of updates, and like I said, if you want to stay up to date with all these types of changes, see what the best looking class is coming forward, I'm going to be updating with tier list, guides, reviews, gameplay, because things are starting to roll a little bit faster now. We can actually get access to all of this stuff, and I don't want you to miss out on any of it. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one.